Instead of needing to feel like you need to reinvent the wheel or have some crazy thing, there's a lot of ideas out there.
Found an idea that Google was already doing that seemed pretty successful, was encouraging the employees. It seemed really cool. And then you guys just took it and applied it to a whole new realm.
I feel like it's a trap a lot of entrepreneurs fall into is you come up with an idea, you spend a year building it, and then no one even wants it. You don't necessarily need investment unless you really want to just skyrocket. And so that's potential as we expand nationwide and potentially further than that. But as of right now, it's working and it's growing.
If you can get a business to start like that, Mike, it's going to really take off. Hello and welcome, everyone. This is the Founder Scoop. My name is Jacob Lee, and today I have with me Jed and Jake Poulsen from the Bee Partner. Thank you guys for coming.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to be here.
So would you guys mind giving me just like a brief overview of what the Bee Partner is?
Yeah, sure. So essentially, we help companies become known as more eco-friendly by participating in our program and initiative that helps support and sustain the bee population and save the bees. So we help companies own beehives, and the beehives just do a lot of good for the local environment. And the great thing about bees is they produce honey, and then we harvest the honey and give it back to the company as corporate gifts. And we create a lot of social media content throughout the year that we publicize the good that these companies are doing. So we help these companies do a really good thing, but also see tangible return on investment for doing something good right here in Utah.
That is a really cool idea. Tell me, okay, where'd you guys get that idea from? Are you guys innate entrepreneurs? Did you grow up in a family like this, or was this kind of something new?
Yeah, that's a good question. We didn't really grow up in a big-time entrepreneurship family, even though my parents started discovering it later on as we were getting a little bit older with real estate and those kind of things. So we were starting to discover as we got older, but we grew up in a small town, Richfield, Utah, and we were involved with agriculture for a lot of our lives. And so as we started to get really interested in entrepreneurship, because we went to BYU, we were in Corbin Church's class, we started learning about entrepreneurship. We really wanted to start a business. And so as we were thinking about it, we wanted to start a business that was focused on actually doing good, creating a lot of win-wins for people, but something that could be involved in agriculture, something that we grew up with. And then that leads to the idea that we got from your brother-in-law, basically. Yeah, so my brother-in-law works at Google, and Google owns a bunch of beehives, and it's a great employee initiative to go out and see how beekeepers take care of the bees and stuff like that. And it's a great thing that Google does. And so we thought, why can't we just do that for every company across America? So that's how the idea started. And yeah, it's been going pretty well so far.
Something that I really like from Corbin's class is that he says, like, the second mouse gets the cheese. And that's exactly what it sounds like you guys did. It's like you found an idea that Google was already doing that seemed pretty successful, was encouraging the employees. It seemed really cool. And then you guys just took it and applied it to a whole new realm.
Yeah, exactly. And we saw that they were doing it without the whole publicity and getting credit side. So it is exactly what you're saying. Like, instead of needing to feel like you need to reinvent the wheel or have some crazy thing, there's a lot of ideas out there if you're just looking. And like that class talks about, just always thinking of ideas. There's so many opportunities out there, and that's the one that we kind of latched onto.
That's cool. So you guys had this idea, and you saw it was a good idea because it was working with Google. What'd you guys do to get this started? Did you go out and validate and test the idea?
Yeah, we made sure to get a ton of validation behind us because we're not we don't. We've been entrepreneurs for several years, and we're not really emotionally attached to any of our ideas anymore. It just kind of is like, which one will validate the best, and let's go after that. So it was the same with this idea. We emailed a bunch of corporate social responsibility directors in Utah, and I actually had a meeting with the CSR director at Health Equity, and they ended up becoming our first client.
Wow.
So, and we had a couple other examples
Did you
like
guys have
this.
like everything figured out when you went and approached them, or was it just like, hey, we have this idea?
Yeah, we kind of went at it from the realm of, hey, we're BYU students. We came up with this idea. It's kind of a project we're working on. What do you think? And we got just pure feedback from these people, and yeah, they ended up really liking it, and we're like, well, if we were to get this project started, would you be interested in having further discussions? And most everyone said yes. So and yeah, it just led to us getting our first customer. Yeah. So and just to add on to that, that's the first thing we did was validate. Instead of, and I feel like it's a trap a lot of entrepreneurs fall into, is you come up with an idea, you spend a year building it, and then no one even wants it. So seriously, probably the day after we came up with that idea, we started emailing CSR directors, but also CEOs, just a lot of different people we could get in front of and ran the idea by them.
How did you find those people? Did you just like look at LinkedIn, or do you have contacts that you already knew?
Yeah, so LinkedIn, we would DM people on LinkedIn. We also, you can find emails fairly easy online as well. Not saying that it's just really easy. It did take some hustle, but they're accessible if you work on it. And I think we used even a little of, it was either Apollo or something like that to get a little list as well, which it costs like $5 to get a list like that.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys have a background in agriculture. Did you guys grow up like keeping bees, or was this kind of a new thing?
No, yeah, we before this we had no experience keeping bees, and it's been really fun. But yeah, we grew up in a small town, as we mentioned earlier, but we actually worked on an American bison ranch our entire lives. So we grew up farming, irrigating, tons of irrigating, and just taking care of livestock. So bees are a little bit different, but it's in the same sort of realm. So we had experience with that, and yeah, it's been pretty seamless just learning a new about a new species and some technical skills that come along with that. But it's been pretty a good transition.
That's awesome. I love it. That's really cool. Like diving into something new, but it's like also somewhat familiar as well.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. We love being outside. I love the beekeeping and that whole aspect of it, because it was just something, again, like it's an entrepreneur trade as well. Like not necessarily just being behind a desk or in a cubicle. I love that aspect of getting out and doing stuff like that.
So what'd you guys do to like fund this project? Did you guys have investors? Did you bootstrap? What was your strategy there?
Great question. So we both put a little bit of money into the business, but essentially we just charge a yearly fee to our customers, and that kind of just pays for everything, and they pay up front. So the business was able to fund itself from a really early stage, which has been pretty nice.
That's really impressive, honestly. If you can get a business to start like that, like it's going to really take off.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Are you guys looking to have investors in the future?
Potentially, as we grow a little bit more. As of right now, we haven't put a ton of thought into it because, again, I mean, we're still building the business and working to pay ourselves and that kind of thing. So we'll see. But as of right now, it's profitable, it's running. And I think a big key, I guess, when it comes to the marketing side is if your customer can help you acquire the next one, if there's that margin in there where it can just acquire, you don't necessarily need investment unless you really want to just skyrocket. And so that's potential as we expand nationwide and potentially further than that. But as of right now, it's working and it's growing. So we're not ruling it out, but as of right now, we're liking the bootstrap aspect and being able to keep all the business as well.
That's amazing. Good job, y'all. That's really impressive, to be honest.
Yeah, thank you.
When did you guys start this business?
So officially, we started working on it full time just in August. Okay. But the validation and, first customer phase started. What was it? Maybe like April and May. April with the validation. And yeah. So just this year.
Okay, nice. So this is your first year of business.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So what challenges have you faced?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge, I would say, it's just kind of any startup challenge in a lot of ways, is just getting in front of the right people. That's been something where I think B2B, that's just how it always is. Getting in front of the right people and being able to show the value enough to have that person become an influencer within the organization to the decision maker, or because in B2B, it's usually a multi-level decision within an organization. So I think that and the sales cycle that comes along with that has been a challenge. Yeah, and a little bit of background on that our customers are large organizations, and some large corporations, especially those that are publicly traded, have sustainability requirements that they have to report on to the government. And that's where we plug in. We help with sustainability reporting. But when a company is that size, it just takes a lot of people to make the decision. So that's, I think, been the biggest challenge is, timeline for sales process and making sure we're talking to the right people initially. It just takes some time.
That really reminds me of a book that I read. I think it was probably about 2 years ago. I forget what it's called, but in it talks about this story about the clipper ship. Have you guys heard? Do you know what a clipper ship is?
No, I think I know what a clipper is, like a type of a boat, but I don't know what book you're referring to or anything.
So a clipper ship was a ship that was developed during the gold rush that could move much quicker than other vessels and could transport more equipment. And so when the gold rush was happening in California, they developed this ship so that they could start sending more supplies to the West. And because they created this new ship and it had such an advantage, the people that benefited the most were the people that were running trade from east to west. So what's cool with what you guys have done is the government is pushing environmental regulations, right? We want our companies to be healthy. And you guys have provided a solution to help them. In the same way that the people that built the clipper ship did, you're able to capitalize on this change in the market.
Yeah, I really like that, actually. And there's that government side that's pushing that, and also customers are pushing that. Customers want to support sustainable, eco-friendly companies. And an issue within business right now has been something called greenwashing, where it's basically just trying to paint yourselves as green as a company, but not really doing anything on the back end. And so, again, like you're saying, bees are actually really important, but the issues they're facing with habitat decline and pesticides and these things is really hurting them, even though they're vital to biodiversity. So companies can contribute to something that is actually really important without having to do all the work, because we do that for them. And so, again, it's something where they're actually doing something that's good, and they're also receiving that tangible ROI from it. Yeah, and I would say that's what makes our program and our company a little bit more unique, is these companies have limitless options of where they can just hand out money to fulfill their initiatives. What makes us different is we provide that tangible ROI through our publicity campaigns and through just the unique, awesome raw honey that we give the company in return that their beehive is producing. So that's definitely what helps us add a little bit more value, as well as solving a tangible problem and doing real good. Like bees are responsible for 35% of America's agricultural production each year. So for every 1 in 3 bites of food, bees are directly responsible for all the fresh food we eat through pollination. So it's a real issue we're solving, but real ROI as well for these companies.
So you've mentioned a couple times the publicity that your companies get from this. Would you mind explaining to me like what exactly that is and what it looks like?
Yeah, so we have we're growing on social media, but we have about 100,000 followers across all platforms because people love bees. People love what they do and support them. And so as we post about, for example, Health Equity is one of our partners, but also Quick Quack Car Wash is one of our partners. So we've posted about their beehive, and people love that. People love talking about that. So that's publicity that they see. And we also do sponsor posts where we say this post was brought to you by Quick Quack Car Wash. Along with that, we're also a very important part of the bee partner is, as well as getting more beehives out there. We're working to increase habitats for the native population. So getting more wildflowers and floral trees and all these native plants out there, because that's a huge issue with bees. And so along with all of that and all those projects we do, we have a portal where all of our companies can log in and access all of our projects, what they're helping fund, and they can leverage that as their own as well, in newsletters, on their own social media, all these different things. So that's a great way to spread the word about what they're doing. And again, what they're actually doing through us.
I think it's really cool. You're like adding to the marketing of these existing companies.
Exactly. Yeah. PR, marketing, every aspect of that for sure.
So are the beehives like individually located at these businesses, or do you have like a separate location that you have these hives?
Yeah, most of our clients either don't own the real estate where their building is, so there's all sorts of red tape surrounding having the beehive at their property. So we just
see many problems arising from that.
Yeah, so we just have the beehives at a remote location that's still really close to all these companies. So just right in the same valley as these companies is where the beehives are.
That's cool. Do you guys own that property, or how does that relationship look?
Yeah, so it's another win-win scenario, I guess you can say. We don't own the properties where the hives are. We work with local farmers or homesteaders, and they love bees because of what it does for the property.
That's really cool, yeah.
Yeah, so we don't pay for the land or rent the land or lease it or anything. We just work with farmers directly to get the bees on their property. We do like to have the hives in urban areas because that's where plant life biodiversity is struggling the most. So we do try to have it in urban areas. That's why we work with homesteaders mainly at this point.
I love that because you can see it benefiting not just the company, but now you're benefiting like the community at large.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what makes beehives so unique is the smallest issue we have is finding a place to put them. Just because we can put in any number of Facebook groups, hey, we're looking for a place for our beehives, and we'll have, at least 20 to 50 responses within a day of people wanting beehives on their property, just because bees are so good for the property and the environment, especially right where they are. Just they're so good locally. So a lot of people want bees on their property.
Have you ever considered going like direct to consumer? Right now you're just doing B2B.
Yeah. So we actually do go direct to consumer. We validated that. Our main focus is business to business, but we did validate direct to consumer. And because we just validated it, we got customers from that. So we call our direct to consumer program Honey Share, where you can literally own a share of a beehive. So we have partners across Utah who own a quarter of a beehive, and they can visit the hive, they can visit their bees and all those different things, and then they get a quarter portion of what that hive produces. So yeah, we do have that program. It's not a main focus because business to business has been the main focus, but we do have it, and especially our Honey Share partners, they really love it, and they love taking ownership of what they're doing and knowing that, again, they're tangibly contributing to bettering their local environment. Yeah, and some people do want the hives just in their backyard. And that's something we're figuring out how to do. You can only start beehives in the spring. So we're looking to roll that out in a major way this next year, just because we have a list of people who want the hives on their property. And then we would just essentially do all the work for them, but they still experience the benefit of having hives on their property, and then the honey that the hives produce too.
Wow, that's interesting. How long does it take to actually start a new hive?
Yeah, so it doesn't. It's kind of hard to say. It doesn't take long to start the new hive, because you can buy they're called packages of bees or whatever from other beekeepers. So beekeepers can split a hive and then they just sell the other bees that have a queen and everything. So starting another hive doesn't take terribly long. You just need to place the hive and make sure it's in a good spot, make sure they have access to water and all that good stuff. But what you do is you place the bees in their hive, in their new hive, make sure they like it and they're comfortable, and then they basically take it from there. The reason why you can only do it in the spring is because that's when a lot of pollination happens, when flowers are blooming and those kind of things. They just can't really be supported if you did it in the fall or a different time of year.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So what last advice would you give to people that want to start a business or entrepreneurs that have just started maybe like 6 months ago, just like you guys have?
Yeah, that's a good question. We've been in the entrepreneurial realm for several years now, and it's been a wild ride. There's some ups and downs, but I wouldn't trade any of it, for anything right now. And the advice I would have is, you can either take a swing for the fences over and over, and eventually you're going to hit on something, or you can just keep kind of hitting just base hits. And that's what entrepreneurship is swinging for the fences. And if you do it enough times, eventually you're going to connect, eventually you're going to hit, and you just learn so much along the way, and it's worth all the strikeouts that you have. And it's something that's thrilling every day. It's an awesome experience, and yeah, just go for it, and if you miss a couple times, that's okay. Just come back out and start swinging for the fences again, and eventually you're going to be exactly where you want to be. Just adding on to that before I give my little thought, just what Jake was saying, the way I think about it is risk. So many people think starting a business is so risky, because you're not getting that paycheck. It's unstable. You don't have benefits, all these different things that people talk about. But as I thought about risk a little bit more, I realized that having a job, not necessarily knowing that I'm living up to what I know I can be, my potential, I'm not giving it my all, I'm not building my dreams, that's way more risky. And so I just feel like for those people out there looking to start, worried about risk, just think of risk in a little bit of a different way. Even though we are taking a risk, it's not that stable paycheck. It's much more risky to not do what I know I'm capable of doing. And just one more thing, I just think that nothing replaces work, and it's actually crazy, especially nowadays, how easy it is to succeed if you just work, and how much the answer is just do more and work harder. It's easy to win if you're outworking everybody else. And so that's would be my biggest piece of advice, is like those people working 9-to-5 jobs, even most entrepreneurs, they're just not working very much. And so if you're willing to give a little bit more and work a little bit harder and focus a little bit more, it's crazy how you'll start to see things go your way. Whether it's today or tomorrow or a year from now, it will happen if you're just putting in the work.
Jake and Jed, that is some phenomenal advice. I can see you guys work really well together. Thank you guys for coming on the show.
We really appreciate it. Thanks for your time. It's been awesome. Yeah, thanks, Jacob. Move.